Hello, I'm Stuart Gordon, and today's trailer from hell is from True Grit, which was made in 1969 by Henry Hathaway, and it's my favorite John Wayne movie. This is True Grit, and it's based on a book by Charles Portis, which they're referring to here. An excellent, excellent book. Was compared to Huckleberry Finn. It's about a young girl whose father has been murdered, and she goes out to revenge his death by hiring the toughest lawman that she can find, and of course it's John Wayne playing Rooster Cogburn. And the chemistry between these two was pretty good, although supposedly John Wayne wanted Karen Carpenter to play this part, and was not real happy working with Kim Darby. Now, her character in the book is 14 years old, so the studio made a decision to play her a bit older, maybe to create some love interest possibilities with Glenn Campbell, who makes his first screen appearance in this movie. But the story is very, very tough, and it's got some of the greatest action, I think, of any John Wayne movie. But it's also, I think, the character of Rooster Cogburn is quite wonderful. And in the book, Rooster Cogburn does not wear an eye patch. He actually has an eye missing. You know, he has an empty eye socket, and he is described as looking kind of like Grover Cleveland. He's a big fat guy. So there's a lot of fat jokes in this movie in which they refer to John Wayne as a fat man. And one of the big scenes with Robert Duvall, who plays the villain, you know, he says, you know, big talk from an old fat man. And John Wayne answers him with one of the greatest lines of screen history, which is not in the trailer. He says, "Fill your hand, you son of a bitch," and comes riding after him. We'll see that sequence in a moment where he's holding the reins in his teeth, and he's got a pistol in one hand and a rifle in the other. Now, Henry Hathaway directed some of the great westerns and several John Wayne movies, including North to Alaska and The Sons of Katie Elder. And I got a chance to work with Dennis Hopper, who was actually in True Grit and in Katie Elder. And he did Katie Elder first for Hathaway, and he was a method actor and kept asking what his motivation was in all of the sequences, which drove Hathaway completely around the bend. And Hathaway swore that he would never, ever work with Hopper again. And a few years later, Hopper came back to audition for True Grit, and Hathaway said, "So what would you do if I told you to stand over there?" And he said, Hopper said, "I'd say, yes, sir." And Hathaway said, "Well, I think you've learned something, kid." And Hopper also had a great story about John Wayne. You know, when he made this movie, it was right after he had done Easy Rider, and John Wayne politically was not particularly into dealing with hippies. And so one day, Hopper had eaten a powdered donut and had sugar on the front of his shirt, and John Wayne walked up to him and said, "I'm not working with anybody who does cocaine on the set." And walked into his trailer and wouldn't come out, and Hathaway finally found out about it and walked over to Dennis and took his finger and picked up some of the white powder and tasted it and said, "John, come out of your trailer, it's sugar."
A pot-bellied, one-eyed Western marshal and a Texas Ranger wearing breeches a size too big.